check out channelrva.com. That is a local media outlet that I created, and it is for folks in the Richmond metro region to become more familiar with Richmond. We haven't really expanded out into the counties too much yet, but the music that you're listening to and the art that we have curated over there is all part of Channel RVA. So RVA art is what's playing in the background for me, and you can hear that. If you have any trouble hearing me today, just pop something in the comments. I should have my audio balanced today. It looks like it's okay, but I can't hear what you can hear, so just give me a heads up. In any event, come back over here to my camera here. So studio.willmelton.com is where you can follow my journey to build 52 apps in 52 months. And I'm going to finish that journey before I get to the end of the year. And I will likely dial back some of my activity because there is a lot to do in the world. You also might notice my shirt here. AI Ready RVA is an organization here in Richmond that is working to make Richmond the most AI literate city in the world. So, in order to do that, I am working to go live as much as I can, 3 days a week when possible. This past week has been a little bit challenging. I had events every night this past week, and yesterday I had family in town, so I ended up not streaming at my normal time yesterday. So this is the only time in the last 7 days that I will have gone live. But I usually go live on 1 o'clock on Saturday mornings, 10 o'clock on Sunday mornings, and 5:30 p.m. in the evening. And yeah, I try to show you guys what it is that I'm working on, show you how I go about doing what I do, and show you a little bit behind the scenes. I like to build in public. And today, I'm going to take you into something that I'm working on in order to help my business secure more deals. And I'm going to basically be building a custom software solution for Xponent21 to help our client growth strategists have conversations with people that help them understand the value proposition and what the potential upside is for their business. It's a lot to invest in, and people are not quick to take. So, my goal today is to build something that's going to increase our chances of closing the deals that we have come across our desk, and that's a one component of a bigger sort of pipeline that we have to think about. And I'm building software to fuel that entire pipeline. So, but this one is a really critical one for a big part of the lift of the work that we do. So let me just give you a little bit here. I'm not going to be able to click around to too much inside of this because I have I've got some client data in here. And so what I'll be doing mostly today is working on creating new and working in the deal demos that I have set up here. So we'll be working through really refining this so that it is easy to execute for my team and takes less time to put together. And it really walks us through a process that we want to follow on a consistent basis so that we can really understand what it is that our clients are motivated by and be able to speak to those motivations so they can appreciate the value of what we bring. It is expensive, but it is a huge, huge lift to their business. And that thing is AIO or AI optimization. So we help companies show up in large language models when people search for things that are related to their product, their brand, their industry, their category, whatever it is. Our goal is to help our clients become the authority for information related to their subject, and to also become the recommended brand by AI when someone asks the question, "Who should I hire?" And not necessarily for everybody, but for the right customers. And that's a big deal for businesses because you don't want to be spending time fielding deals and leads that are not qualified. So the better job we can do at bringing qualified deals in and also ensuring that we have a process to qualify deals is all part of what we're doing here. And there's a lot of things. I'm not a super expert salesperson. You know, I've been owning a business for over 20 years, and Part of that has enabled me to know a lot of different things about selling and selling different products and different services and um, selling businesses. So there's a lot of psychology and visual aid presentation style things that you can do. There's also a process to be able to get clarity on where your obstacles are in, not necessarily making a sale, but I say closing a deal because the deal is something that benefits everybody, where closing a sale is really one-sided. So I think a lot about all this stuff, and I'll give you a little bit more of my insight into how we do things. So, what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to show you what I have so far and kind of what the thinking is behind this. So we have sort of multiple steps in the process. So we're going to kind of have these sessions that we're going to go through with the client to discover what we need to know. A lot of times that session is going to be just one meeting followed by a presentation, a proposal presentation. There's a lot to unpack in this whole thing, and so I'm going to spend a lot of time today talking about the process, talking about what we do as an agency, and explaining to my lovable agent here what we need to be able to do. We're kind of in the direction that we need to be, but we're not quite there yet. So, and I also don't even know how all of this is fully functional yet because this was a build. The way that I'm building is I'm creating a vision first, and then breaking that out into a plan, and then that plan gets scaffolded into what you see largely here, and then we put together a roadmap that allows me to backfill uh, the roadmap with the full plan, and then that also gets some additional detail because my lovable agent is able to kind of read the code, but also read the roadmap and enhance the roadmap, and so that's what we're the reason I do what I do and how I do it is so that I can have more efficient cohesion in the build process. So what I want to do right now is I'm going to go through the process of setting up a session because there's a lot of gaps in this, and I'm just going to hit my microphone and actually talk to my lovable agent so that I can uh, save some time in the process of building here. But if you are hanging out with me today, drop a comment, ask any questions you've got, share any ideas. This is a really, really behind the scenes look because this stuff that we're doing here is it's for Xponent21. This is my primary business. So you guys are getting a real treat today because this is what fuels us. We doubled our monthly recurring revenue last year without this tool. And so just imagine what we can do when we streamline our sales process. So let's get started. So I am launching meeting one for our demo for West Broad Studios for an AIO engagement. I'm going to launch that meeting. I'm actually one of the things that we need to work on is the language is
You're tuned into channel RVA, the media hub for
all
independent
right.
creators.
So I'm
Subscribe to
just going to
channel
pause really quickly because I
RVA.com.
realized that there's some evolution here that I wasn't aware of before. Um, I tested this out a little bit before the call and the demo that I had. All the information wasn't in there, so it was kind of it was only half of the steps were visible to me. So, in any event, I did just get a reminder that I was listening to our soundbite on Channel RVA. And just so you know, Channel RVA is welcoming new subscribers. If you're in the Richmond market and you're looking to have some fun this weekend, Friday, Channel RVA is hosting a block party, a taco party, in our West Broad Studios location. So there's kind of a little bit of a thematic overlap in using West Broad Studios uh, as our test here for the demo. But there really is an event going on there on Friday. And if you want to get into that, it's a subscriber only event. We're going to have a taco bar, we're going to have some beverages, and we're going to have some music and a good time. We have, this will be our second time doing a first Friday block party. So we want to welcome you there. But it is exclusive to subscribers. So, in any event, let's see, let's get going here. I'm going to call out some improvements. I want to add all of those improvements to the roadmap. We want to make improvements to the text, which is currently a little bit AI sloppy, we'll say. And that's going to be throughout the presentation deck. We need to adjust the 1,000 sites visited by AI versus human. I'm not quite sure what that is referencing. It's not that they will necessarily need to visit that many sites. I think we need to do a little bit of research on some of that, or just improve the statistic. This whole search landscape has changed. Page needs some intention around what data we put in front of people. The technical foundation, instead of "we'll handle this," we need to have a button that says that this is already done. We can uncheck the foundational piece. In the proposal setup, but it's also good to be able to talk people through what this is. I also feel like the technical foundation could potentially use some of the space that we have here. But beneath technical foundation, where it says comprehensive audit and optimization, I want to have a carousel that shows perhaps 2 or 3 cards and really drill down in on all the things that we're going to look at here. That's something that we're probably going to do for every single one of these service areas. For number 2, instead of doing cards, what I want to do is actually demo some prompts to large language models. We can do like a box that has a list, and we can scroll inside of it. And what I want to do here is really just hit some key questions that these businesses might find their customers or prospects asking, and do it as a table with the table header at the top that shows all the things that we're asking about for our content catalog. I don't know that we need to have every column visible, but maybe some of the key columns that we use inside of Carl AIO. And I want to be able to sort the column headers to demonstrate that. I want to be able to scroll inside the box. Everything should stay contained in the slide. And again, instead of we'll handle this, I want it to say already completed, because there's going to be some cases where that's already done. Oh, I'm sorry. I need to make a correction to my previous statement. Number 2 is the research and the content catalog. So I actually want to show a content catalog sample. So we'll grab some pages from their website to pop in there. We do need to automate some of these research steps. So I want to make sure that we build out functionality to process some of this work based on information that's gathered in this setup. We can go and grab some of the main pages off of their website as a step in the process. Hey, Michael, how you doing? Thanks for joining me today. But the content catalog, again, should be scrollable with a table, should be filterable, or sortable, not filterable. The roadmap, I still want the content roadmap to be there, which is the sort of the questions and the categorization of the questions, and perhaps we can also have a diagram for the AIO strategy. We'll have to strategize what that diagram looks like, but it should be not too disruptive. It may be that we have a couple of tabs to make it all fit. None of these should have will handle this. Well, yeah, just what I want to do is when we say we're interested, or I would just say interested and not we're interested. Um, I don't know that they're going to necessarily be clicking through this. It's going to be the salesperson who is. But instead of skip for now, let's actually, sorry, instead of we'll handle this, let's get rid of that altogether. Skip for now, that's going to be a button that opens up a drop down that forces us to select. Is it handled internally? Is it handled by a third party? Is it something that we're going to save for later? We do want to have that information so that we know when we need to come back to that, if we need to come back to it, or if it's just something that we don't need to press on because they have it handled. We do work with internal teams very closely and third parties if need be. So that's a big improvement. For content production,
the media hub for independent creators. Subscribe at channelrva.com.
I want to bring back the carousel from the technical foundation slide and introduce that for content production, because there's lots of different types of content. We've got blog posts, FAQs, how-tos, um, bios, LinkedIn descriptions, LinkedIn video description, or sorry, YouTube video descriptions, LinkedIn long form posts, podcast scripts, lots of different types of content that would be required to assemble uh, videos. List goes on. Actually, producing the podcast, producing the videos. So there's the text part where we're actually describing what we want to say. Content optimization. This is really based on how much content exists. So what I want to try to figure out is how much content do they have? That's going to be a required information piece for this process. So somewhere in the early setup, the strategist is going to have to actually identify kind of um, based on what we can see, how many pages they have on their website, how many videos they have on YouTube, any other assets that we can identify that could be valuable and optimized. We want to know that. For the content production piece, we want to know how much content we might need to produce, and that's going to be based on how many topics we need to cover. Each topic is going to require some lift, and we can start to get a sense for, truly how many topics there are going to be, and maybe start to list out what some of those topics are. I do want to capture that information in the process of going through this proposal. So if it's perhaps a second slide for each of these where we're capturing some additional information, that could be helpful. And then on channel amplification, I want to have the carousel come back. And then AIO Discovery Project is not necessary. It shouldn't be there. And then the podcast production, video production, instead of being separate, I think we can put those into the previous slide. So content production, when we get the inputs for content production, we can identify, what content is being produced already. Is it being handled in-house by a third party? Are they interested in having any of those different types of content produced in order to support their work? And then the channel amplification piece. Maybe what we could do is put in uh, all the different social channels where we could be managing their presence to support this from a bigger picture, and just an overall providing social media services. I think that help us understand your priorities. That stuff probably needs to happen earlier in the conversation, maybe before we start talking about what we do. I think that when you're looking to get started is in an appropriate place. I do think that that slide lacks some of the visual appeal that some of the earlier slides do, where we have numbers and at the top and labels above it. These are just a little bit flatter. On the monthly investment side of things, we're going to be starting at 5,000, so nothing should be present under 2,000, 2,000 to 5,000. And then I think one of the things that I want to support, some people have a hard time, well, most people have a hard time committing to a retainer off the bat. So they want to go through the process of the project, the upfront work, not necessarily the retainer piece, which is the ongoing optimization and the bigger content production lift, which is not part of a retainer. It is also a project, but it's often spread out over the course of 12 months. Then I want to somehow convey that we can kind of take this approach of doing that upfront audit and research and develop the content catalog and the remedy plan for any of the technical things that need to be improved. I just realized I ran a really big risk of that transcript not finishing because I was talking for so long. So I'm just going to let it do its thing over there. And while that happens, I'm going to continue to transcribe on my phone. When I get to the step 16 slide, it says pillar one included as as uh, a summary, I guess, but it's not very descriptive. It just says pillar one, so that's not going to be very helpful. And then the only other thing that I can see that is missing is we don't have anything in here around uh, brand positioning. One of the things that really informs successful strategy is to conduct a brand positioning exercise where we would be talking to customers, talking to internal stakeholders, so employees, talking to sales leaders, marketing leaders, really getting a look at the ground level of what's happening in that business and what people are saying about the business. So there's surveys, there's a lot that goes into that. And on the other side, we have very clear brand positioning language that we can use to inform our strategy. A lot of businesses aren't going to have that. It's another hurdle in the process of selling all this stuff. But if we're going to be conducting a project to start us off, it makes sense to include that in the project. And while it might delay the ability to get to retainer, it still is the best thing to do to be able to ensure that the client has the most success possible. So this is a pretty big multi-step plan that requires both some UI changes on the setup of the proposal, uh, definite UI changes on the slides, some pretty hefty data inclusions and some improvements on some language. What I want to be sure that we do is I do not want to modify anything that we already have from a design and layout perspective. I'm actually really happy with what we have. I don't want to reimagine any of it. I just want to add to it with new elements that are styled in the same design. We need to break this up into multiple tasks and detail those tasks in the product roadmap. Okay, so if we were to just think about this from the angle of, a consultant's job, I'm able to articulate all of these things, and I'm still probably missing some things, but I'm able to articulate all of this because it's my subject matter expertise. My subject matter expertise is my business. It is my sales process. It is the strategy that we deploy to clients, and I am. Let's see. I just want to get that additional text in here. Okay, we'll let that work while I'm talking. I'm able to do this on my own and go through this process and kind of, I've already had a vision for how this is going to work. So comparing what I'm seeing here to the vision that I had. So if we talk about it from a consulting perspective, what I would normally be doing is going through a discovery process to develop software and not to develop all of what you're seeing here and what we're making happen. But what we're going to do is find out where the pain points are, where the opportunities are, what the stakeholders need to do their jobs better, to be able to reduce friction, to be able to improve outcomes for stakeholders. All of that is, what the discovery process is like for us. It's very similar to the discovery process for a brand positioning, but it's more technical in nature, more process oriented. And so in any event, that's something that we must do in the beginning of any of these engagements. But again, I'm shortcutting that because I have deep knowledge and can do this. but that's the work. That's getting under the root of the problem and understanding how things work is a big part of it. But then, the other part is bridging those challenges and problems to solutions and knowing what solutions could exist and how we can introduce efficiencies, how we can create processes that allow for better outcomes and to better understanding, better connections, better information gathering, and in this case, particularly consistency in how we go about doing things. I think that when you're working to sell, you have to you have to measure how you approach the work and gain a better understanding. You have to do analytics on what steps in the process slow things down, what things cause people to uh, have friction or misunderstandings or blockers, roadmap, block walls that go up, and whether that's money or buy-in or whatever. There's a lot, and so this solution that I'm building is going to be tested next week. So it's going to be in production pretty quickly, and we'll be able to determine how much that is, how effective that is, in actually helping us to um, secure deals. And we'll see if it improves our sales process, closes our sales cycle timeline, or does something else that we can anticipate. But um, those are the key goals at this point. So I'm getting this roadmap added, and there's a old sales process that I want to go dig up out of my notes from some time before. Okay. Let's get two Ds. So MEDPIC is an interesting acronym. It talks about metrics, economic buyer, decision criteria, decision process, paper process, implicated pain, champion, and competition. So all this stuff is necessary for us to uh, be able to gain an understanding and bridge to people. So um, what I'm going to do is I'm actually, instead of thinking about this, I'm going to just see this here. I'm going to just paste this in here, and I'm going to say, this is a sales formula that is all about information gathering. And what I want to do is consider both what we already have in the presentation process, as well as what is in the product roadmap, to be able to make sure that we have somewhere in there the ability to capture all the required information to succeed in the process. They can be questions that are asked and information captured throughout the process, but I want to make sure that we have a plan to make that happen. And this is, so there's two parts to this. I'll actually show you guys Yeah, I'm going to exit out of this because I don't need to save anything. So um, I want to actually mention a couple of improvements here. I do need to be able to save sessions when I open them. If I change anything with a save button somewhere, maybe in the bottom left, bottom right next to next. Okay. Any event, I'll let that work. So sessions, there's 2 sessions technically. And so I believe that what I do is, yes, this is exactly what I want. All right, so the other improvement that I'm gonna have to make today is I'm gonna have to go through this process and actually fix this whole presentation because there's some options here that don't make any sense. They're not real options, they're placeholders. Um, One of the improvements that I want to make to the proposal itself is I'm going to be able to go through and already have pre-selections made so that the options are selected and the price is updated at the top. I also want to be able to toggle on and off whether or not the full total price is visible in the settings on the setup. The content production options are incorrect. What we want to do there is have a slider that allows us to increase the budget by $5,000, starting at, we'll say $20,000 and going up to $500,000. The slider needs to have thresholds at which the price per credit decreases, and I'll provide the price per credit matrix in a proposal sample. And that will allow us to probably have some pre-selected stop points because of information gathered on the previous session. So we had gathered from them how many topics they wanted to tackle. So what we should probably be doing is not necessarily selling for a number of topics, but just acknowledging that in order to cover a topic, we're probably going to have to hit over a dozen pieces of content to be able to win, and likely more than that, depending on the competitiveness of the topic. So we can speak to that, and then I don't necessarily want to, again, sell against topics totally, but I want to just help them understand that the more they bite off, the less they're going to pay because we have, reducing prices per credit as you spend more. But the thing is we are going to be making a recommendation to do as much content as possible because we know that's going to be what helps them win. When we get to the content optimization step, this really needs to be based on how much content they have that we determine is required to be optimized. And we can base that on how much content we have and make some kind of guesstimates about how much of it is going to be required to be optimized. But now the other thing to keep in mind is this step is also going to have to be influenced by how much content we're going to create in the course of a year. And so if we have the content production uh, details. We need to do the math to add that to the content that exists already that needs to be optimized, and then recognize that we should be optimizing on an interval that is maybe 3 to 4 months apart for those key articles, those key pieces of information that we can easily optimize. So that one's also going to be um, quantity based, but there's not a volume break for that one. That was It's just based on account.
I love music. Die einzige App, die du brauchst für
Channel
Nonstop-Hits und spezielle
amplification
Serien.
has a challenge here
Jetzt neu.
because uh,
Mit Tomorrowland One World Radio. Der offizielle Tomorrowland-Radiosender. 24/7 in the mix.
Live today. Love tomorrow. Unite forever.
Tomorrowland every day. In der I Love Music App.
This is I love chill hop.
I think I need to do the channel amplification by channel and have, instead of number of channels that are included, sort of a price per channel to execute a strategy there, because it is uh, there's a decent amount of work that goes into each one of them, but they're priced separately. I need to think a little bit about what goes into the deliverables for each of those. And so the LinkedIn strategy, is obviously a lot about long form and sharing and what the system looks like to be able to share from person to business channel. YouTube is a lot about optimizing the channel. It's optimizing playlists. It's optimizing descriptions and keeping that up to date, going back in and relinking things. Reddit has its own unique strategy around creating sub, participating in conversations in ways that don't get a user banned, representing the business. And then none of it works without community engagement, so every strategy needs to include that, as well as weekly posting. I don't know how we're going to be able to make it easy to make selections here and make it fit on the slide, but we do need to figure out how to do that. I think one of the things that we need to do is capture someplace earlier on in the first discovery what kind of revenue and profit they stand to earn from one relationship earned, because we're going to have to somewhere in here actually talk about the profit potential. So what's the upside if we were to increase their lead engine by as much as we've been able to do for other clients, which oftentimes is anywhere, it's double digit growth percentage wise to doubling of revenue is not an uncommon, or even more than that if they really execute at a sizable investment. So I do need to have some place, if we're going to say your pathway to profit, if we're going to ask for the money, we need to actually be able to show them what the upside looks like. We also need to build our own e-signature functionality. And then we need to wire up the subscription engine. I also need to have controls over, I think, all of these line items inside of some kind of nope, I see it, never mind. Okay. This is a workload here, guys. Let me tell you. I've got 2 different voice memos that I need to copy now. So this is not a small lift, as I've kind of said a few times now. And so I'm slowing down on this step of it to get this right. And I'm going to do a big build all at once. And we're probably going to take a couple of steps. And we're going to do that, I believe, after this this iteration. But while I wait for this to build a plan, I'm going to just make a quick coffee, take me 2-minute break here, and we'll be back in a minute. So don't go anywhere. I'm still working here. I'm going to switch over to RVA Art to give you guys a little bit of a view there.
You're tuned into channel RVA, the media hub for independent creators. Subscribe at channelrva.com.
All right, I'll be back here in just 1 second, but I will switch back over just to keep my screen moving here. I'm going to go ahead and approve that plan so that when I come back, I'll be able to just come in here and get this thing going. So always plan first, refine plans, make sure that you have what you need to build, and then we can build pretty quickly. I should be able to make it through all 23. It's going to make maybe a couple of more tasks for us here, say 25 tasks or so. I'm going to be able to execute that before the hour's over. We won't be able to test out all of it before I'm finished up today, but I'll be able to show you around a little bit. And we're going to run past 11 o'clock. So if you're hanging out with me now and you want to make some plans to stick around a little bit longer, I might run up until about 10:30 today. I might go longer than that. I do need to get this work done. So if I don't do it with you guys now, I'll be forced to do it later tonight or early tomorrow morning or something. So I have a proposal presentation with a client, and they already are a client of ours. We've gone through the early process, and we have a lot of clarity, but we want to leverage these aids to help in the decision-making process. All right, so I am happily coffeeed up. I'm going to see if there's a banana somewhere in here for me. So I might just go for a protein bar. You might not know this, but it takes me about 20 to 30 minutes or so to set up on these sessions. So I'm thinking about what I'm going to be building maybe a day before I go live with you. So there's a decent amount of thought that goes into all of this. All right, I'm back. I'm back. Thanks for hanging out with me today. This is Live Vibe Coding with Will Melton. Will Melton. I go live almost 3 times a week. I try to go live almost 3 times a week and show you how I build with Lovable. And there is in the description, there is a referral code you can use to get some free credits from Lovable. And you can come over here and make your own software. If you don't think that you want to spend your time making your own software, you can also hit me up. We do this for a living. Xponent21 has a development team, and we are building our own software, building software for clients. We've got some new projects that are coming up that I'll be able to talk to you about in short order. Doing a lot in the nonprofit space, a lot of nonprofit projects, streamlining, introducing new tools, solving problems that weren't previously solvable. It's pretty interesting stuff. All right, so $32 items. All right, let's assemble a sprint. Also, right now, credits are going twice as far until the end of the month. I know that there's only a few days left in the month, but I think we've got a solid 4, 5, depending on whether you count today. Oh wow, this is a huge sprint. I usually have a cap on this that keep it from going over 10, but well, it says it's only 10, so I don't know. Yeah, no, it did 16. So let me go back into deals. We get into this one. See what's going on in here. So there's a lot going on in the background here. If you weren't joining me for the first 45 minutes of the session, or now 55 minutes of the session, then you might not have heard all of the instructions that I gave to my agent today, but those instructions were all designed to build a roadmap that I'm now executing. All right. I'm eating a Mush chocolate protein bar. Pretty good. The rule is only to move them to in review. There's no contradiction. There's no instruction to pause. The instruction is to continue autonomously and just to switch the first task to in review. If for some reason these tasks aren't related to each other to support a complete build, then that would be the only reason to be concerned. Otherwise, you should proceed. On the initial presentation, we need to have a slide for our team so that we can show the strength that we have with our senior strategy team and supporting departments like our creative department and our dev team. I want to use the images from Xponent21's website. I want to increase the logo size for Xponent21 on the wizards, and I want to improve the design of the PDF. There's currently problems with lines overlapping each other. Visually, it's kind of flat. There's also a lot of white space. The PDF should also provide a link or a button to go back into the proposal to sign off on it.
You're tuned into channel RVA, the media hub for independent creators. Subscribe at channelrva.com.
The interactive proposal needs to also have a share link that we can send to the client so that they can actually walk through with somebody else from their team to make decisions.
It's 11 o'clock.
So I guess we need to have a link to complete the proposal. Maybe we can have some kind of toggle at the top someplace that has the ability to turn on and off the sort of the presentation only slides that might be redundant for somebody looking at the proposal. They might just want to look at decision only slides. I don't want to force people to sit through slides that they've already seen and say, I've already seen all this before. Thanks for the comments, Bambit. All right, so guys, if you're joining me for the first time, I'm Will Melton. I am building 52 apps in 2026, one for each week of the year. I'm ahead of schedule. I think I've got something like 31. I counted the other day, probably a couple more since then. So I'm not really adamant about keeping up, and I'm not sticking to one a week. I'm just building what I need. And then I'm building some fun stuff too. So this is a Channel RVA production. We are a local media outlet in Richmond, Virginia. And I am building software for my digital marketing agency. So this is going to help us go through the sales process for what we do much more streamlined. And I'm currently executing on several different tasks. I've got 16 keyed up, but I think I have 30 something. I can't remember exactly now. While I'm waiting on this to go, I'm going to go over here and work on something else. I'm working on an event for Channel RVA first Friday. So Friday, May 1st, this coming Friday. Get my overlay set up more. Oh, you mean like putting some design stuff on my graphics, things like that on my overall look. You know, I'll be honest with you, I don't spend any time looking at other people's Twitch stuff. One of the reasons why I actually used Twitch is because it provided a nice way for me to integrate my live streams. And interestingly, I'm live right now, but it's not showing up on my website, which is weird. I'm going to go to Channel RVA and see if I'm live over there. It's not showing me as live over there either. Very interesting. Let me check my credits. I have credits. Okay. Cool. Yeah, I got to figure out how to. I've always struggled with this because I've got a lot of screen to cover. But I got to take a look at some other streams and just get some ideas. I'm using OBS, which has some limitations, but it's free. Okay, so we're having a taco party. Yeah. I'm in my brain here, trying to figure all this stuff out so I can add this event. Oh, that's the wrong URL. This is what I want to do. Yeah, thank you, man. I appreciate it. I looked the other day at my subscriber list and was surprised to see I had 16 people subscribed on Twitch. I'm not necessarily doing this for followers. I just the recordings, honestly, are what I'm looking for. And if you haven't been over to my website, I think I pulled it up here. You can see all my streams from all of my builds. And again, I don't know why it's not seeing me as live right now. Good morning. Good morning. Welcome. I did go live. It says that I am live. And as always, this is a Channel RVA production. If you're not familiar with Channel RVA, yeah, I'm live. And you're talking to me on Twitch, so I know I'm live on Twitch. I know what's going on. Probably something with OBS. Anyway, let me get back into what I was working on over here. I got to get this event posted so that people can actually sign up for it. That's been my work to do. All right, so what I need to do is get an event description going for this. I need a 2-sentence description and I need a long description for this event that is a subscriber exclusive for Channel RVA, sponsored by Xponent21, taking place on Friday, May 1st. You can see all the details in the image, but I just need a compelling description. Be sure to subscribe to be able to RSVP to get an invitation link. An office conference. Yes. Speaking of the office, if you guys have not seen it already, one of the other things that we do at Xponent21 is we have fun. So there is a Exit to Space. This is a show that we record. It's kind of a spoof on The Office. It's called The Agency. Check that out if you want a quick laugh. All right. Let's see how my event's doing over here. And I have music. I have something playing somewhere. I gotta get rid of it. Okay. Let's do this. Okay. All right, let's get back over to the main build. We are going to get back into the thing here. We're going to builder, go back to the latest and see if this is loading. All right. Okay. So we've got a lot of tasks in the roadmap that we need to execute on. So looks like we're making some progress, but there's a lot there. Come over here and mess with my video right now. Cool. I'll make myself a little bit smaller too. I don't think I need to be that big. All right. Thanks for hanging out with me and giving me some feedback there. I love a good opportunity to improve. So I have a couple of different cameras built out, or scenes rather. I've got this screen only scene, and then I've got my little promo opener. Got to build some more out. And I'm also using Restream to get my streams syndicated. Yeah. The world is changing fast. We are motivated by competition, and artificial intelligence is driving that. It's it's overwhelming at times, but I figure my best bet is to lean into it, learn what I can learn, help other people learn what they might need to know, and I don't know. I've found a lot of joy in spending time teaching people, and I've also found that it takes a little bit of vulnerability to go out there in the world and do stuff like this, and other people admire that. So if I can leverage that to help other people learn and give them a spark of curiosity, then I'm a happy camper. I have found also that building like this in public has brought opportunities my way. So people are paying attention. And while not everybody's in the comments, I've had some pretty active days. I've had some days that were a little bit slower. I've had spikes in viewership, but I have generated real tangible business opportunities from this, and I do command a reasonable fee to build. The team that I have assembled is excellent and always learning, testing new things, building new things. This roadmap that you see is a tool that we have deployed across all of our products that we've built so that we can execute faster and with more precision. And there's other elements to it too, like being able to synchronize all of this into an internal management system that we use. I'll take you over to Spaceport. I demoed that a little while back. AC Films, how you doing? So Spaceport is the place where I can go through and access all of my different applications, including Grow. And then I can tab back and forth between different applications. I can get into, I can save things as my favorites. I can open up the platform map and learn about what we're building. This is my team's eyes only. And then we have these interstitials that allow for us to tell our team what the different applications in our stack are so that they can learn and understand and appreciate what it is that we're building and how it's going to help them with their job and how it's going to help clients with their improved outcomes. Okay, so I think we're getting there. That probably finished there. I'm going to auto assemble a new sprint. How do I explain this to a non-tech savvy individual? So there's two ways to answer the question. One is sort of the simple way, which is speaking software to life without necessarily needing a ton of technical ability. The other way that I would describe it is, I think for the novice builder, for somebody who doesn't know how software development works, it's a really great way to prototype to see like, hey, I've got this idea. What could it look like? And when you see it, it doesn't, make sense, or it makes total sense. And it's like, okay, I can really imagine how this is going to go. When we build for clients, one of the very first steps that we take, we do a discovery. At the end of that discovery, we wire up a UI, a user interface, to be able to show them what it could look like if we were to do everything that we've proposed, and that really helps them to imagine what the future looks like with that tool. And when that imagination is synchronized across decision makers inside the organization, it allows for adoption, and it allows for a vision to take hold and for people to go forward with a yes that makes sense for that organization, because they understand that this is going to be a big game changer for them as they implement it. Yeah, let's see if I can't fix that. If I do fix that, I'm going to lose a little bit of my screen, but I don't think that matters too much. Yeah. There's always little things in the bottom right of the screen that I want to be able to show people, but that's okay. I can switch to screen only if I needed to do that. Let's see what that looks like. Do I have any this stuff over. Okay. The other thing I would say is, for a non-tech savvy individual, you probably don't want to spend all your time learning how to build software if your job doesn't demand it. But it's, again, good to be able to play and to be able to bring things to life. And then once you get to needing something, seriously, like a money-making application to be built, you can work with a team that is expert at doing that. There's a lot of considerations, like what's the database look like? What are the functions that we're going to build, and what does the user interface look like? And then how is the marketing language going to land on the website to be able to help people understand what this thing is so that they take the action that's required, so in order for the business to be successful. And so there does, at some point, you're going to need somebody who actually knows how to manage a project, how to marry solutions to problems. And so I wouldn't recommend that anybody off the street just goes and builds an application, because you've got security needs, you've got just an entire architecture that needs to be built. And if you haven't built before, you're probably going to miss some things that are really critical, and you're going to ship something that doesn't necessarily work. So um, it's important to have that foundation, but at the same time, if you want to get into a new field and you want to start to learn how to do this stuff, I think it's really easy to learn as you go. It's really easy to pick up what you don't know, because the the AI, the AI agent will build plans for you and tell you what steps to take, and it'll ask you for X, Y, and Z. And I use a combination of tools too. I'm not just using Lovable. I'm also, you guys might have seen them over here inside of sorry, I just also in Claude. So Claude's helping me out a lot. I want to go just check on my event over here, because I couldn't save it before, and now of course it's all missing. Party. I gotta get this online, guys. I gotta get it online. Sorry, I'm silent while I do this. I can't talk and type at the same time. So how do I not get overwhelmed by the amount of stuff that I work on? I am ADD, so my brain compartmentalizes things very easily. But I do forget things. So what happens is I front burner projects that need my attention, and back burner everything else. But I also have a team of 16 or 17 people. I'm not exactly sure what the count is right now, but they help me out. I start a lot of things. I guess I could do a couple of things. I start things that I'm really passionate about, things that solve problems for me, and then I gotta fix this thing right here. The graphic viewport for the video is cutting off the contents of the video, so I need that to be either flexible or I need it to be a more appropriate uh, orientation. So in any way, these tabs, like I'm going to end up closing out a lot of this stuff because it's not necessarily serving me right now. And but I also don't, it's just I'll close this whole thing at once to get rid of a bunch of stuff. But some of these tabs will help me remember what I was working on so that I can get into that and come back to it when the time is right. And sometimes, let's just say. So anyway, start them, hand them off to the team, and then they beg me to tell them more about what's missing and what needs to happen. So that they have the clarity that they need to finish it. But a lot of times, because I'm building tools for my team, they know what they need, or at least they know where the friction points are, and I can help them think about what solutions can solve those problems. But it's and then building tools to streamline things. What I'm doing right now is building a tool that helps my team do their job better and spend less time on it. And there will come a point where I just don't have what it takes to keep building this thing. But the sales team is going to start using it. They're going to have lots of feedback and tell me where it needs to be better, or it needs to be more flexible, whatever it is that needs to happen to get us where we need to be. But you can also see I'm not reviewing anything right now, so I'm just building right now. And what's important about that is if I were to go in there and start reviewing all these things, it'd take me all day, and now it needs to happen. But there's also something else that's happening where the plan's in place. The roadmap items are referring to each other. They're referring to the code that's been written. And so when we take each subsequent step, it's building based off of what it's previously built, and it's assembling these sprint queues in order. So dependencies dictate what that order is, and so it's not going to build something that doesn't make sense for the sequence of that. And what's going to happen is when I get to the other side, it's going to be pretty much done, and I'll be able to make some minor tweaks to what I want. There is a risk that I didn't read the plans today. I gave the plans, I didn't read them. Some of the plans could have been misinterpreted based on the limited information that I put into the system. But having done this for quite some time and being pretty experienced at it, knowing what I've already built, understanding that I can establish some element of coherence and understanding with the agent about what we're building and why we're building it, all of that shapes my confidence that we're going to go down this road and be pretty healthy here. Now, the other thing too is that I've got 2x credits with Lovable this month, so I'm getting more bang for my buck than I normally am. So it behooves me to build and to use as many credits as possible in this time frame from an economic standpoint, and so that's why I'm doing it. Again, it could happen that I look at it and I'm like, oh man, like this is really bad. I just went to hell. But I've been doing this long enough to know that that's likely not going to be the case. Also, what's important to note is there isn't a lot. Some of what I was working on when I first built this was really integrating with our existing CRM to make sure that our data came in so that the system was usable. And so a majority of my time previously was focused on the other aspects of this system, not on the proposal aspects, which means that wasn't built up beyond just kind of the initial vision. And now the layer that I'm adding in is going to be the layer of detail. So what did we not get right on that initial build that I didn't articulate, or that just was not going to ever be a layer of detail that could have been included at that initial build phase? or if it's just my experience, I get into it, I start clicking around, and I find that, well, that was good in theory, but it's not exactly what we needed. And so what happens in the world of software development for people who are currently engineers or developers is that the work shifts a little bit away from writing code. Well, it shifts away from writing code entirely. You're not writing code anymore, to design and design thinking and working with stakeholders, with QA people, maybe even shifting your time to quality control and testing all the things that AI is building for you so that you know whether what you wanted was what was built. But what happens, and I think, as people imagine the future, we're able to build software that is to spec. So, what do we need and why? How is this going to help us? And then also to recognize that as once we get that foundation in place, once it does the job that it's supposed to do, we can go a step further and say, hey, how do we make this better? Because there's new features that we can add, or we can take steps out of the process, or we can introduce AI into the mix so that it can handle some aspects of the work for us, so that we're not having to manually click around a bunch of things. This particular example, there's absolutely some AI things that we can build in, and may likely do that. But so far, a lot of this is designed to be worked on with a person, and a salesperson familiarizing themselves with a business so that they can make recommendations, and then presentation process that involves the customer and allows them to be part of the decisions that go into shaping what they see on the screen and what the outcomes are for them. So this is one of those interfaces where AI is probably not going to have as big of a use case, but yeah, I think manual coding is moving to hybrid. I think I don't read a lot of the code that gets built in here, but I do. You spend enough time in it, and you know where things are and what to expect, and then you have other things like now inside a Lovable, you can reference different either code that you have, files that you have, or projects, which would allow you to look at the code of those other projects. So it's definitely, I think the job is a lot of knowing the code, knowing the functions, and being able to drive the agent to do what you need it to do. My favorite game. Call of Duty. Took me a second to figure that out, but it's absolutely Call of Duty. I haven't played in a while though because I've been building. What is it? What's the? It's not the latest one. Is it Black Ops 3? I don't know, I got the PS5, and it was the game just before. One of the things that annoys me is that through the constant updates, I get locked out from one play to the next, so I can't. Um, like it deletes my game. I have to go download it again. It wants me to download the newest version. They're always trying to suck money out of me, and I'm just trying to play competitively and see if I can win and try again, try again, try again. I think that's the reason to play. It's to improve, to get better. I like it. Yeah, I'd have to turn on my Xbox to remember. Modern Warfare 3? That's what it is, Modern Warfare 3. Not Black Ops 3. It's Black Ops 2 a long time ago. Yeah. I see. I guess I'll be interested. I don't code that much. I mean, I'm not a coder myself, so I know how to do CSS, HTML, and I can code with AI's assistance. But as far as like the different coding applications go, I'm wondering if you can have like auto complete or something like that as you type. As I'm not, again, my preference is not to use the keyboard. I think the keyboard's the worst thing that was ever invented. Uh, Terrible friction to getting what you need out of the compute, and so I prefer to talk. Okay. Um, there's a lot of database development that's happening in the background on this build. Pretty much all of these things are requiring additional details to be added to the database to be able to facilitate all of this. And to talk about sort of what to expect next from this is we'll need to, once we have a signed proposal, we need to use our API to push that information into, excuse me, our management applications where we can then execute on the work. But there's a lot of stuff in here from a data capture perspective that the sales team is doing to be able to speed up the onboarding process. So we want to make sure that all of that information makes its way into the management platform that we use uh, so that we can eliminate some friction, cut out some of the time it takes to get set up over there. Okay, so let's refresh. I understand why every time I refresh, it's kind of taking me back to the roadmap or to the main dashboard instead of just taking me back where I was. But um, yeah, I figured that they would have autocomplete, but again, I used to use VS Code Copilot back in about a year and a half ago when I was working on developing WordPress plugins, but I quickly learned that WordPress is a monolith, and a lot of reasons for that. I won't go down the rabbit hole. You probably already know, but I really have enjoyed React and TypeScript and the speed of it all and the pace at which we can develop now with AI. I'm a visual person, so part of the reason I don't like code is because it would require reading a lot of text. And while I do read a lot, there's a language there that you have to know. And I can read code, but if you don't have to, why would you? So I really work hard to make sure that I can see what I need to see and build out these interfaces that allow me to more effectively manage things. But I'm still directing an agent most of the time to do the work. I'm not lifting a finger. Now, the one downside to that I'll admit to is that you don't know what AI is coding, so there's going to be nuance to the code itself that you're going to have to go and
You're
experience. And
tuned into
so
Channel
going in and
RVA,
testing everything
the
is
media
part of the
hub for
work.
independent
And
creators.
there's always, I mean, you
Subscribe at
build enough stuff, and there's going to be
channelrva.com.
little nooks and crannies that you forget to test, or maybe I could use AI better for like a QA aspect, but if you just think about this build, for instance, I'm going to have, I don't know, I got to look at the changes needed. So I'll remember if these things are done or not, but I should read what the changes are. Maybe these things actually do need to be done. But these tasks are all really, the comments are really old, so I'll probably be cautious about that. Certainly, once we get to testing with real users, we'll find other little gaps, edge cases, things like that. But this is an internal tool for my team, so we can weather those things, and we can even provide support in real time to address anything that is potentially outstanding. Let's see what we've got. Yeah, a lot going on here. Yeah, uh, I'm in tech and marketing, and one of the things that I've observed over time, I've been in tech for my entire adult life, and in marketing, in parallel, marketing the businesses that I have or doing it for other people. And I think that there's a lot of hemming and hawing about terminology. And at the end of the day, what you've got to be able to do is communicate with people about what things are. And I think that there's a lot of merit around talking about AI and being more explicit about what AI is and what AI isn't. But I think that when you kind of look around at society and you see how people are behaving, what the masses are doing is really going to be what defines what things get called. And uh, I think AI is a more encompassing term that talks about sort of an ecosystem of tech terminology. The large language model is a piece of that. The chatbot is the interface. Um, and then, all the other things. If you're writing code, then you've got your, you know, developer interface. You've got your preview interface. So it, I, I think the biggest problem is that people think that AI is something more than a tool. And I tell people it's akin to a keyboard or a mouse. Um, it's a little bit different, but it's the interface for the world's information essentially. Um, Instead of us having to search through an index of content, we're able to assemble answers from a vast array of training and data. And that is an interface problem. That's a how do you use this interface? How do you interface with? And then cool thing about it is that there's many ways to use the interface. There's You can type to it, you can talk to it, you can create an MCP. Whether AI is the next evolution of the internet, I think the internet is the backbone of connectivity. I think that infrastructure layer is going to never really change too much. Living here in Richmond, Virginia, we have in the entire United States, we've got two of the biggest data pipelines coming into Virginia Beach and up to Richmond. So we're building a bunch of data centers here so that we can improve the latency or the speed that it takes to get information to the server, and that's why data centers want to be here. So the internet backbone is still going to exist as it does and won't change very much in that regard. But I think that AI is the next evolution of society. So when you take away the barriers to production, meaning you don't need to have an English degree to write and you don't need to have a math degree to engineer software, You can do those things now on your own. You can develop skills faster than you ever could before. You can on your own learn how to do things that you used to need a teacher to do. And so that, if I heard somebody at the TomTom Festival 2 days ago say, the evolution of automobile technology, when cars were introduced, it opened up the world of suburban living. Suburbia did not exist prior to cars, and so we have to be thinking about how AI is going to change our society. And right now, I think the opportunity for builders is to accelerate the pace of development, to break barriers as far as what's possible, and uh, the the opportunity is to solve some of our toughest challenges and to shift the thinking away from, well, how do we make more money? Which is, okay, if money solved all problems, that would make sense, but money doesn't solve all problems. We have other bigger problems to solve. Quality of life is a measure that we should be prioritizing. And maybe this sounds anti capitalistic, but I honestly think that capitalism has failed us because it has failed to measure the things that really matter. And profits matter. It's not like that's not a real measure that has merit. It does. If a business doesn't make a profit, it doesn't stay in business. People don't lend money to it. You don't get investment. And so those are real metrics to pay attention to, but they are not the only metrics. So, yes, the I tell people, one of the things that I learned in the transition from search to AI is that it's called discovery. What people are doing is they're on a mission of discovery, and they're not on a mission of discovery. Some people are on a pure, information gathering mission because they're curious people. But most people are looking to solve a problem, and they want to have confidence before they make a decision. So their discovery journey is all about developing confidence in their knowledge and their ability to make a decision to solve their problem with confidence so that they can rest easy, make sure they're not wasting time and money, and move on to whatever the next challenge is. And that has, a lot of what I do for a living is based on that understanding. How do we meet people where they are if they don't leave the chatbot, if they don't visit websites to get information? How do we effectively
You're
influence
tuned into
people and
Channel
win business?
RVA, the
And
media hub for
AI search
independent creators.
optimization is
Subscribe
all
at
that's about. It's
channelrva.com.
creating the content to be able to help people succeed. Um, it's optimizing content that's been previously published that might have been out of date, might gotten out of date. It's maintaining an understanding of how the models are constructing answers so that we can remain developing content and optimizing content with next practices in mind. So our job at Xponent21 is to do that research, to analyze the prompt response data and uh, gain an understanding through research and analysis of what is the motivation to assemble an answer and how do we leverage that understanding to be able to improve our strategy, and how do we build a model that can be tapped into as a part of the process to engineer content, because we're not writing it manually, we're reviewing it, we're driving the strategy, we're determining what needs to be built, when, why, what business decisions are driving that. But at the end of the day, we need to create content at scale, and we need content to be created that's quality. So we're using uh, I'm going to forget the terminology that we use, but brand voice and business case and brand kit. So there's a few things that we're assembling to inform the writing. There's the foundation of everything that's already been written, and then there are the rules of engagement for how do you optimize for AI. And so our job and what we're doing, what we've done is built a model, somewhat manual right now, but we're creating a software to enable that. We used to use other people's software to be able to execute on it, and other people's software had limitations, so we built our own. And we're slowly kind of revealing what those different applications are so that people can see that we are this forward-thinking company, and other folks can see that, yeah, bloated, expensive software may not necessarily be the right choice for you. Um, and maybe owning your own software is a better bet. And I think that that is the future. I know that Jensen from NVIDIA, was recently on a podcast talking about how he doesn't think that there is a software bubble, and that those tools will just be used by more agents. But I think he fails to recognize that those software tools have expense associated with them, and those expenses are not low. The more tools you need, the more expenses you have. And yeah, maybe if the tool is doing its job and it's productive for you, that'll make you happy. But I can promise you, I know capitalists. Capitalists do not rest. If they can cut expense out of the equation, they will. And I'm doing the same thing right now. I'm replacing HubSpot. I'm replacing Asana. I'm replacing. There's some tools that I still need, like Slack is something I don't anticipate replacing. I don't think I want to replace it. That's more about human connectivity, instant human connectivity, and it's maybe one example where maybe you don't need to recreate the wheel. But when you can own your own software as opposed to paying somebody to rent it, I think it changes the dynamics. And same thing is true of people. They want to own a house because it helps them develop their generational wealth. And if you own your own software, that helps you develop the ownership and wealth as a business that you can have, because you don't have those cost burdens. And ultimately, what you've built is intellectual property that is valuable to whoever it is that values your business, whoever you're selling it to or taking investment from. So we're getting pretty close to the end on this build, and I'll be able to start clicking around. It's taken 2 hours to get here, but I'm not unhappy with the pace of development in today's build. I think that we've built a lot, and we've got 2 more tasks to add to this. And then we'll start clicking around, but I'm going to wrap up in relative short order here because it's been a long run today. I hope you all learned something, and I hope you were able to get a little bit of insight into my thinking. I do think about all of this stuff constantly. It's a little overwhelming at times, but these are real problems to solve, and I owe it to my team and to the 10 years of investment into my company to go down this road and to explore the next frontier and leverage the tools that we have today to build the tomorrow that we want. And so I'm excited to be able to bring that to other companies and nonprofits and to the Richmond community that I serve. I hope to find new ways to extend value to the community and help people with their skill development. So I hope this is a valuable engagement for you all. All right. I'm going to have a lot of testing to do, but I'm going to recruit my team to help me with that in the coming week. Yeah, I bet that could be the case. I think it just depends on, creating a prompt versus just manually writing the code. Because I don't have experience as a coder, I don't. Why is there 11 sprint items? Oh, it's the changes needed. Okay. I can't see a world where writing the code myself would be faster, but that's just my experience. So we'll have to have a coding battle, see which one of us can get to a solution faster. I know that there's an interest at AI Ready RVA to put together vibe coding battles, so maybe we do those things in person for the most part. It's fun to Takes all kinds, we'll say that. Okay, so I implemented some stuff. When the screen refreshes, it automatically loads the dashboard instead of the last page that I was viewing. That should be improved. Yeah, I have had some situations with complex code that created some challenges, but I can honestly say that we should be looking for ways to simplify. I find that complexity is often a mistake as opposed to intentional. But I think that the solution is where the complexity is broken down, and it's always about going to the extra mile to figure out how to simplify and how to cut steps out and how to make it more coherent. This build is it's a doozy, guys. It's a doozy. I'm gonna I'm just gonna click into my proposals and see what I've got.
You're tuned into channel RVA, the media hub for independent creators. Subscribe at channelrva.com.
It's 12 o'clock.
Okay, let's see. Auto assemble sprint does not appear to be accepting items that are tagged as changes needed. Can you evaluate what's going on there? Yeah, I also find that AI makes up words too, which is pretty cool. Not a bad thing. Makes up terms, which helps us to think about information and classify things. I've done a lot of my research on AI outputs based on terms the AI created. All right, so this may have been a record session.
I
Uh,
love chill hop.
if you were here from the beginning, which I doubt any of you were, you might have seen some of the progress that was made today, where we went from our current session builds to now being able to go through and do the. Let's see. There will be some work to do to simplify this. Also, these carousels were not populated with everything. All right. Anyway, longest build of all time, and you saw some of the progress that we made here. So there's a lot of complexity that just got introduced, and I'm going to look to simplify some of it. But at least the database tables got created, and we can see some things are not working right now because I can't properly edit the deal, so I can't come back in here and put in. I guess I can go to organizations. Let's see. What I gotta do is edit it here. Oh wait, wrong thing. Yeah, it's not working. So we'll have to fix those things up. Let me make sure that my. Yeah, it should work. But maybe I don't have a sitemap. Yeah, there's no sitemap. That's why. So anyway, I'm gonna go eat lunch, take a break. come back to this, make sure that we can tidy up all these little details. Thanks for the wishes of good luck. I'm sure we'll get it where we need it to be. But that's going to be a wrap. And if you did not check out the event for Channel RVA, let me just see if I actually got that working. I'm going to update that. Take a look at this page, see how our Taco Barty URL is looking. It's probably not working anymore. Let's see.
You're tuned into Channel RVA, the media hub for independent creators. Subscribe at channelrva.com.
I'm going to show you this page so you know where to get to it. But when you go to channelrva.com, you'll be able to subscribe and get an invitation to this dude. And I don't like that I cannot, like this doesn't make any sense. Okay, let's fix this too. But I'll get that pushed out there so you can check it out. But join me on Friday, May 1st at our office for tacos, drinks. Have a good time. Thanks for joining me, guys. Seriously, I'm